They laughed so loud that the entire hall echoed, "Rebecca, you're still struggling to pay your bills, right? Poor girl, always begging for help." Her cousin smirked. Her uncle shook his head in fake pity, and even her parents stayed silent, letting the humiliation grow. Rebecca just sat there, calm, her eyes fixed on the clock outside the glass window. None of them knew that in a few minutes, their words would shatter back at them like broken glass. If you're feeling the heat already, then stop right here. Like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the moment when everything changes. For Rebecca, trust me, you'll want to see this twist. She sipped her water, letting their insults pile one after another. "Don't worry," her aunt said sarcastically. "Maybe one day she'll find a rich husband and stop being a burden." The entire room chuckled, their laughter slicing deeper than any knife. Rebecca didn't answer. Instead, her phone buzzed silently in her lap. A short message appeared. "Your car has arrived, ma'am. The driver is waiting." She closed the phone without a word. The timing was perfect. Outside, just beyond the window where everyone sat gossiping, a black Rolls-Royce pulled up to the driveway. The chauffeur stepped out, polished shoes gleaming, holding the door open like he was welcoming royalty. Heads started turning. One by one, the laughter in the room choked into silence. Rebecca slowly stood up, her calmness scarier than any outburst. She didn't explain. She didn't need to. All she whispered, just loud enough for them to hear, was, "Poor. Let's see who's poor now." And with that, she walked toward the door, while every pair of eyes followed her, burning with confusion and disbelief. As Rebecca walked out of the room, whispers started. Her relatives exchanged puzzled glances. "Rolls-Royce? For her?" one muttered, while another scoffed. "Must be a rental. She can't even afford rent." But when they followed her to the window, their faces froze. The chauffeur bowed respectfully, opening the car door. Then, the family noticed something even stranger. The car bore a VIP government plate, the kind that only people of high status could use. Rebecca slipped inside the luxury car with elegance, as if she had done it her whole life. Before the door closed, she turned her head slightly, locking eyes with her sneering cousin. There was no anger, no revenge in her gaze, just power. The cousin's smirk vanished. The uncle, who had mocked her minutes ago, now looked pale. Someone whispered in disbelief, "Wait, isn't that the same car we saw outside the mayor's mansion last week?" Suddenly, phones were out, scrolling rapidly through news feeds. And there it was, an article, hot off the press. Rebecca Williams, CEO of R&So Enterprises, signs multi-million-dollar deal to expand globally. The room went completely silent. Every insult they had thrown at her only moments ago now felt like poison in their throats. Rebecca's calm smile from earlier suddenly made sense. She hadn't been quiet because she was weak. She had been quiet because she was stronger than all of them combined. And as the Rolls-Royce pulled away, the family stood frozen, realizing the bitter truth. The poor girl they mocked was now far beyond their reach. The moment Rebecca's car disappeared, chaos erupted in the room. Her aunt grabbed her phone, dialing Rebecca nonstop, but every call went straight to voicemail. "She can't just ignore us like this," she muttered, panic rising in her voice. Her cousin, who had humiliated her most, now bit her lip nervously. We didn't know she was successful," she stammered. Her uncle, the same man who had laughed the loudest, now paced the floor like a trapped animal. "If she's really the CEO in that article, do you realize what this means? She has money, power, influence, and we mocked her." For the first time ever, guilt crept into the room. But it wasn't pure guilt. It was greed mixed with fear. Suddenly, they weren't ashamed because they had hurt Rebecca. They were scared because they had lost their chance to benefit from her success. The very next day, flowers arrived at Rebecca's office. bouquets upon bouquets, all with neatly signed cards from her family. "We're proud of you. We knew you'd make it. Family always stands together." But Rebecca wasn't fooled. She leaned back in her leather chair, scanning the pile of fake apologies. For years they had crushed her spirit, called her worthless, laughed at her struggles, and now, with one headline, they wanted to rewrite history. Her secretary asked softly, "Should I throw them out?" Rebecca paused, then smirked. "No, keep them. I want a reminder of where I came from, and why I'll never go back." Her decision was clear. Forgiveness might heal, but forgetting? Never. A week later, Rebecca hosted a charity gala at one of the city's grandest hotels. The hall sparkled with chandeliers, celebrities, business tycoons, and politicians mingling under one roof. Cameras flashed everywhere as reporters tried to capture the woman of the hour, Rebecca Williams, the young CEO who had taken the business world by storm. But just as Rebecca stepped onto the red carpet in an elegant black gown, she froze for a brief moment. Standing awkwardly near the entrance were her relatives, the same people who had mocked her in front of everyone. Their clothes were neat, but clearly borrowed for the occasion, their smiles forced, their eyes desperate. Her aunt rushed forward, clutching Rebecca's hand. "Darling, you look so beautiful. We're so proud of you," she exclaimed loudly, hoping the cameras would catch the moment. Her cousin chimed in, "Yes, we always knew you were destined for greatness." Rebecca raised an eyebrow, calm and poised. She didn't pull her hand away, but her voice was sharp enough to cut glass. "Really? Because last time we met, you said I couldn't even afford a bus ticket." The relatives froze. Reporters nearby immediately perked up, sensing tension. Microphones tilted in their direction. Rebecca's uncle cleared his throat, trying to recover. We were just joking, you know. Family teases each other sometimes." Rebecca leaned in, her voice low but firm. "No, you weren't joking. You wanted to break me. But instead you built the fire that made me unstoppable." Then, with the whole room watching, she turned gracefully, leaving her relatives standing in the middle of the gala, humiliated and exposed. Applause erupted. Not for them, but for her. For the first time, her family understood the truth. They weren't part of Rebecca's success story. They were just a painful chapter she had already outgrown. As the music softened and the lights dimmed, Rebecca stepped onto the stage. The crowd hushed instantly, all eyes on the young woman who had transformed her life against all odds. She took a deep breath, scanning the audience, reporters, CEOs, friends, and yes, even her ashamed family standing in the back. "Good evening," she began, her voice calm yet commanding. "Most people see success as money, fame, or titles. But for me, success was something much simpler, proving wrong the people who said I was nothing." Murmurs rippled through the hall. Rebecca continued, her tone growing stronger. "I was told I was worthless. I was laughed at when I struggled. I was abandoned when I needed support the most. But those words, those moments, they didn't destroy me. They built me. Every insult became fuel. Every betrayal became a lesson. And every doubt became a reason to rise higher." Her eyes flickered to her relatives, who now stood frozen, shame written across their faces. Without naming them, Rebecca made it clear who she was speaking about. "Tonight," she said, raising her glass, "I dedicate my success not to those who cheered for me, but to those who tried to silence me. Because without them, I would have never found my voice." The audience erupted into thunderous applause. Cameras flashed wildly. People rose to their feet, inspired by the raw honesty of her words. In that moment, Rebecca wasn't just a CEO. She was a symbol of resilience. Reminder that sometimes the deepest scars create the brightest lights. And as she stepped down from the stage, Rebecca knew one thing for sure. Her past no longer defined her. She had written her own ending, and it was powerful, unstoppable, and hers alone. As Rebecca left the stage, the applause still echoing behind her, she felt a calmness she had never known before. The girl who was once mocked, broken, and left alone had now become the woman everyone admired. For years, her family's words had haunted her, but tonight, she realized something powerful. Their cruelty had been the fire that forged her strength. Her family watched in silence, unable to undo the years of pain they had caused. For them, regret was heavy. For Rebecca, however, the chapter was closed. She had proven that even when the world turns against you, you can rise, shine, and build a destiny greater than anyone imagined. Rebecca smiled softly and whispered to herself, "This is just the beginning." Her journey reminds us all, never let the cruelty of others define your worth. Stand tall, keep fighting, and one day, your success will speak louder than their doubts. If Rebecca's story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. Your support helps us bring you tales that prove, no matter how dark the road, the light always returns.